Hey everybody, one more video, and why not, right? These are so fun to show you because I am excited how many resources we have. Um, this one is going to be about vocabulary, so let's just jump in and take a look at the cool options that exist in this particular program. And again, something that they're going to use in social studies, they're going to use in elementary, and we have access to as well in secondary ELA. So the more I went in and looked at it, the more kind of curious I became. This product's been around for a long time, and they've done pretty well to make it more user friendly and maybe raise the level of even kind of the hip hop that's inside. So I'm kind of a hip hop fan. I wasn't really too excited to um, initially find out that who knows, maybe it was a little too cheesy with some of the lyrics. But if you go into login in the top right corner, let's see if we get the screen that I'm familiar with. This looks like the right one. And so our Google SSO, this is again associated with your district login, is a good way in because then it makes sure that, I'm choosing this one and not a different Google account. If I used a different one, I don't think I would have the same access. And then here is the dashboard. So looks like I'm logged in right now as Whittier. And again, this might be an indicator that as we keep going with the year, I think they'll be adding more schools. And if you don't have access, you could certainly write me and let me know that you want to, and we'll see where that process is. But I wanted to go ahead and make the video and attract you to some of the cool things that you can use this to do. It's got the weekend rap shout out contest. It's got some neat things related to rap and hip hop that I think students might find interesting. And if you're not aware that it does a lot with, you know, music as a way to retain vocabulary, and um, also has for a news feature like where students can make themselves music and record it in here as they practice with vocabulary. So I can imagine there's a lot of beats and choices, and I'm going to try to show you some of those cool things today. Okay, so for starters, if I just search from the top and I go to lessons and then language arts, and I scroll to the right, you can see that for support wise, it's divided into these 5 categories. If I were going to really try to strengthen some informational text skills, let's just choose that one for this round. Okay, once I've chosen informational text, a lot of these are of a grade span. And so in this case, it's starting with K2 at the top, and it's working to, older grades as we keep scrolling down. Each one of these is going to feature kind of a catchy um, way to maybe practice a particular skill. But it looks like for the most part, most of these are content driven. And so they're not so much skill based. All right. But those are all examples of informational text. All right. Let's go back and search one more different way. And I'm going to go into lessons. I'm going to make this different so I don't keep doing it. Okay. Let's just stretch this out a little bit. It'll stay below my bar. So if I go back into lessons and I go into reading and writing instead of informational text, again, it's going to start with some of the early grades and work its way to older content. But there are some particularly powerful ones that I've probably already located and put in the curriculum. Like the concept of point of view is something you strengthen as you get older, but you could start learning about it as early as in 3rd grade. So just make sure that you preview the content and you think it's old enough for your young people. What is poetry, for example? Let's go in and see if this one would make the grade um, with young people and you think they would find it cool. So first I could just kind of come in and preview it. And what it also has at this very bottom that I was just alluding to is called the Lyric Lab. Okay, so once you preview the task, you can see that it's about a 3 minute and 46-second video.
It takes its origin from emotion recollected in tranquility.
Wordsworth!
Yes?
Thanks for the intro. We'll take it from here.
What's going on?
What's poetry? Here's what I found. It's when you're written and spitting words for the meaning and sound. Poems, they pack an emotional punch, whether a haiku, a sonnet, or a limerick for fun.
All right, so would that inject some life and some interest and some curiosity? It also bring it to the hip new idea of poetry. I love how they alluded to Wordsworth, one of our all-time historic greats. But I also think, this word has continued to grow and become part of American culture. The discussion between poetry and music, and poetry and hip hop, and poetry and spoken word. If you've ever been to a slam, then a lot of these modern concepts, may be attractive to students and keep them very academic in their pursuit until they're much older, and maybe even for the rest of their lives. A lot of my students are still spoken word artists after they have found it in high school. So noticing that in the same reading, we have the video itself, and then it's comprised of words that you would have heard in the video, and these are vocab cards. Then there's an actual game that students would play where you actually are earning instruments. And so this is kind of a cool feature where you build the beat, but in order to build the beat, I've got to get the right particular words in the right place. So Chandra prefers to write something over poetry. What would be the not so poetry like word here? And have you even included in your understanding yet this word? Because that's a big word. But when I do prose, I got it right, and I earned a step toward getting some more beats. And when I get to this one, I'm going to develop the beat. It's going to change. It's going to add, I think, a snare, right? So um, we'll let you come back and experience that. Okay, I turned off the audio if you wanted to, because you just wanted students to practice without the beat, or they didn't have headphones. That's another feature that could happen. Okay, let's see if I can get out of there without finishing it. Yeah. So that was the vocab game. Then there's one called Break It Down. And again, these are more like the kind of questions that you would see featured. They're even part one, part two questions, which are really helpful to practice. And really just a way to cement the concept. And there's something to read related to what we just saw. And again, passage, text dependent questions. And not a whole lot. Looks like this is 6 different pages. You can kind of toggle through by doing skip. Then to finish it all up, we have a quiz in this lesson. And then I think the coolest thing ever, this lyric lab. So I just model this for you a little bit. I'm going to get to come down here and choose a beat. And I'm going to choose, let's just start with the first one, and we'll bounce. But oh boy, it's getting kind of exciting and interesting and different than I thought class was going to be today. If I was in my own class and I heard this started happening, I'd be kind of excited, and I'd wonder, like, what are the kids around me going to do with this? So then you write your first line here, and you incorporate these words into the end stop on your lines. So think of a fact or detail about poetry. Write a short line with that fact or detail. Wow. So today I started to write a poem. Words I chose allowed me to roam. Before you know it, or before you knew it, I wasn't, let's make it, wasn't even home. Got things in my brain, call it a dome. Uh-oh. Okay, so funny as it could be, right? This might be something that groups could work on, but um, click here to turn on the steps if you need help. You wrote 4 lines, keep writing. Seems definitely supportive, and so far I've worked in only one of our words. So for the next goals, I'm going to try to talk about free verse, or rhyme scheme, or simile, and you could set it as a goal to see who can use the most, and then, what do you know, I think you would share some of these, right? So, pretty cool. I want to change up the beat. I got it. So I think some of our students would find this fantastic and curious about what each other would do. Remember, it's a great way to keep vocabulary instruction interesting. And it might be a trade. It might take a little bit of time, but students might give more energy and look forward to instruction in a different way. So I hope this has helped you think about if you were going to use vocabulary, what exactly you would use it for, and how it might work out in your class. Please look forward to letting me know you're trying this, and I look forward to coming to see how it's going. Thanks for watching.